once again, from my side, welcome everyone. It's really great to see you all here.
We're thrilled that we're going to have a wonderful program. Thank you, Dean Alp, for opening the program. We are extremely grateful. Today is going to be a very special meeting. The Carter School is really a breakthrough school doing some amazing work in a very troubled world, and is exactly what's needed now to begin to heal the bombs and to really create some breakthroughs in a world that sometimes seems like it's gone mad and things are going crazy. And we need to just anchor in that root of how can we be bully proof? How can we deal with the bullies that threaten us in the playgrounds, in our cities and towns? And how can we apply that to the world where we see bullies going amok, and where really bully proofing and urban violence, these are all a link, a continuum. And so this is a terrific program we're very grateful to have the Carter School a part of. Before I introduce the other participants, I'm going to I'm going to go ahead and we're going to play an opening video from the president of Rotary International. This whole program with the Carter School is part of a collaboration between Rotary and the Rosalind and Jimmy Carter School for Peace and Conflict Resolution. Al Jubitz and others have played a key role in helping to make this all possible. We're very grateful for their help. And so let's go ahead without further ado and start with Stephanie's introduction. Thank you.
Okay. At the last mega meeting of the Rotary Carter School collaboration, it was exciting to watch President Jimmy Carter, in his farewell address, step aside from his role as president of one nation to address us all as citizens of the world. As I travel the world visiting Rotarians and others around this beautiful planet of ours, I'm struck again and again by the beauty of all human beings, by our common desires to serve others, and by our common longings for a better future. It would truly be a gift if we could all learn from President Carter to lift our vision to seeing ourselves as citizens of the world. Our precious home is in danger, and it is crucially important that we all learn how to preserve and protect it for all of us, our children, and future generations. That's why I'm so proud that Rotary is collaborating with the Carter School to educate and inspire a future generation of peace builders, skilled in how to actually engineer peace and bring our world together beyond all these conflicts, to break new ground in building bridges of peace for a better future for all. I believe you will find that the key to showing them a better way lies in the magic of the Rotary four-way test. In closing, I want to wish the Carter School great success in developing more tools and trainings to break the cycle of violence and learn that we are one family, one city, one country, one region, and ultimately, as Jimmy Carter realized, citizens of one world on our beautiful home, planet Earth.
Wow, thank you, Stephanie. Citizens of one world on our planet Earth. I see Al Jubitz applauding. That was so beautiful and moving a statement, and it's the perfect introduction. And we're so glad that she's provided that. We would welcome Dean Alp to be able to add that to the website, his website, if he wants. That's a terrific invitation from her for us all to lift our vision to being citizens of one world. Well, today we have a really spectacular event, and I'm so pleased you're here because the Rosalind and Jimmy Carter School for Peace and Conflict Resolution is doing some of the breakthrough, cutting-edge work that's so crucial in this time where we need to find a way to rise above the divisions and strife that are tearing us apart. And so I want to first introduce our panelists. I think I'll just give you a quick rundown on who we're going to have, and then I'm going to go into detail about our first panelists. We're going to have two key people who are part of that Baltimore violence prevention program, telling us about that on-the-ground testing of this fantastic new program for making breakthroughs for peace. Nawal Nawal is a PhD graduate of the Rosalind and Jimmy Carter School of Peace and Conflict Resolution. I didn't push any mute button. All right, so we're going to have. Thank you for reminding me of that. So we're going to have Nawal, Arthur Romano, Ozwem Asiri, the founder of this mega meeting platform and the co-host of these terrific mega meetings we've been having with all of the top Rotary and other peace builders around the world, top leaders, and then Al Jubis, who's been kind of the key to making all this possible, and Mary Clark, who is also you'll hear some wonderful things about how she and her husband really helped start this whole great collaboration. So we'll go through them one at a time, but let me start with particularly Nawal and Arthur Romano, who are the or the two people doing this Baltimore Violence Prevention Project. Now, it's the Urban Peacebuilding Baltimore Violence Reduction Project. And Nawal is also co-founder of By Peaceful Means. Boy, do we need that. By Peaceful Means, a grassroots community organization that works to interrupt forms of physical and structural violence in Baltimore City and create this as a model for other cities around the world. She's an adjunct lecturer at the Georgetown University's Justice and Peace Studies program and is a consultant with Movement Matters in D.C. She and Arthur are going to share some slides. Nawal, do you want to start? Do you want me? Maybe I'll introduce both of you first because I think you're going to do this slide presentation together, correct?
Yes, correct.
So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Arthur as well. Now, Arthur is a Rotary Peace Fellow. He shows you some of the wonderful things that can happen when young children get an opportunity to be a part of becoming Rotary Peace Fellows. They learn great peace building skills, and he's somebody who's applied it in a really powerful way here. He's the founder of the program in urban peace building at the Carter School, and he has over 25 years of experience in developing innovative and participatory educational models and communities that are in the communities that are affected by conflict and violence. He's building this capacity to disrupt and transform cycles of violence, to disrupt them and to start people off on a whole different path. He's developed conflict resolution workshops for hop artists from around the world. We want to hear more about that during the discussion following their little slide presentation. So without further ado, Nawal and Arthur R. There's two Arthurs, so we'll refer to Arthur R. and Arthur K. So Arthur R. and Nawal, please take it away.
Great, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we have a bit. Can you all see the slideshow?
Yes.
Okay. So Arthur, I'll pass it on to you if you want to do a bit of an introduction a little bit further.
Sure. Well, Arthur K did a good job of that introduction. But I want to say firstly, welcome and my gratitude for being here with my extended Rotary family. This was perfectly timed. I don't know if Arthur was thinking about this or our friends at the Carter School when we did it, because we're just coming off of our Peace Summit this weekend. And so we've spent a whole, few months in preparation, especially in this whole weekend with fantastic peace builders. I'm particularly grateful because the Rotary Peace Fellowship was a transformative experience for me. I had been working for a decade already doing this work, and that opportunity to study, to network with people all over the world, and to get the research grounding in my work, launched my work in a completely different direction and in a much more kind of grounded and I think impactful way. So I appreciate that. And this was then such an incredible opportunity, one that we had, hoped for over a decade, to try to build this collaboration between the Carter School and Rotary. And so now that's bearing fruit, and we just are, this is really great timing to be able to report back just fresh off the weekend. So you all are just providing us a chance to kind of think about something that we just finished.
Terrific. Go ahead, Nawal.
Great. Yes, also just super grateful to be here. And Arthur K gave a great intro for me as well. So I'll just add that By Peaceful Means has been running in Baltimore City since 2007. We run a series of summer peace camps for youth ages 5 to 13. And once youth age out of the program and turn 14, they're able to work for the peace camp. And so we have dozens and dozens of kids who have, grown up in the program and then gone on to work for the program. And currently that's about 10 to 12 high school students every summer who are employed with us. And then about 4 senior counselors, so young people who are in their 20s who also grew up in the program, then did the youth employment part of our program and now help run the camp. And so we have a commitment to ongoing leadership and to an ongoing building of this identity for young people as peacemakers, and so that they can continue to build skills and teach one another the skills that they've built over the years. So today we're going to be talking about this new project. As Arthur said, we just had a great weekend, and so we're excited to share with you all about it. We're going to do some framing before we get into the weekend's events. But this project is called Building Bridges for Peace. And we're starting in Baltimore because Baltimore has political will to do peace work. They have an incredible citywide model that is working to reduce violence in the city. And we got to hear a lot about that this weekend and the impact that both on the ground grassroots organizations are having in the city, but also coming down from the mayor's office and the different sort of innovative approaches at the city level that they're taking to reduce violence. So we are excited to get more into that. And before we do, I'm going to pass it on to Arthur to talk more about urban peace building in general.
Yeah, and also I just want to say Nawal is very humble, but what she's done is really incredible. She's a co-founder of the camp. She works with many of children who's come from communities profoundly impacted by violence. And somebody who researches peace education, there's very few efforts that have been sustained like she has for several decades. And so it was really good timing when Rotarians spoke about their desire to do some work in the area, that Nawal was already there, deeply rooted and was willing to get involved. So when we think about this urban peace building, some may have heard that term before and others maybe not. Really, we're looking at an area of peace building that's often overlooked. And looking at the promise of cities, and cities at their best offer these opportunities for people to come together. There's a concentration of creative capital. Democracy was born in urban contexts. Our economic and political models of the future are being born as we speak in cities. And so cities really are a really important area for any field, but especially in peace building. We can go to the next slide. And on the other hand, we also know that that the majority of violence takes place or in cities, and the majority of people, I should say, live in cities. So the majority of people live in cities now, and by 2050, 68% of all humanity will live in urban spaces. And many cities around the world have increased in their inequality over just the last few decades, and inequality has driven violence in some places, as well as other issues like here in Northern Ireland. And sometimes the way we respond to that through policing, or in this case, what they call in Northern Ireland, peace walls. Sometimes we talk about folks who live on the other side of the tracks, but these kind of ways in which, while we're so close together in cities, sometimes we're so separated. And we know that kind of lack of contact and meaningful connection and inequality are really drivers of destructive conflict. And so while there was an initial decrease in violence when they built these peace walls in Northern Ireland, now fast forward many years later, we see that 65% of young people have never even had meaningful contact with people on the other side of the wall in the very same city. And we've seen increases in animosity and community-based violence as a result of it. So we can go to the next slide. So the question becomes then, if walls are not the answer and arms are not the answer, then what is? And we think that a big part of it, and research on this, I would argue, overwhelmingly supports this, is that connection is the key. And so when we thought of partners and piloting these projects, Rotary was one of the organizations we thought of first. Why? Because Rotarians are all over the world. Rotarians are super connectors. In fact, in this project, getting ready, we'd have to slow Rotarians down sometimes, because every Rotarian we spoke to said, let me give you 5 people to talk to. Here's one person, here's another person, here's another person. And just in a way, slowing down to find people who wanted to build deeply with us. Rotarians are service oriented, as you know. Rotarians have a DNA of peace, from the very founding of the United Nations to now the largest network of peace fellows all over the world who've gone on in jobs in government, in the arts, in every domain of peace building to make a difference. And also because strategic peace building requires connection across lines of difference. It requires breaking down the silos. So I'll pass it to you, back to you, Nawal, since you've been grounding this in Baltimore. But this has been a important part of us modeling this first project, and that is to build a model in partnership with Rotary in Baltimore that looks at strategic peace building across the city. And so this is just from 48 hours ago when we brought groups from across the city together. This is the map where we were physically mapping where people were doing work. And I just want to say that as someone who was volunteering on the project, one of the things that Nawal was saying as we were doing this, groups were telling us where they're working. We're talking about groups that are doing powerful work. Nawal will tell you specifics about the kind of folks who are in the room. But she said something that was really powerful. She said, how many people here are familiar with a city that has those pins that show where there's been shootings? So in the US, we have, those maps are common for almost every city. And she says, how many people think that we need to have the same kind of map that shows us where peace builders are? And people almost jumped out of their chairs, right? These are folks doing the work. We need to see each other, right, in order to be able to collaborate and connect with each other.
Right. Thank you, Arthur. So we got together about 17 folks from 17 different organizations around Baltimore City, as well as 2 Rotary clubs, a Baltimore club and a DC club. And we spent a day together really just talking about what kind of work, are we doing? Where are we doing the work? What are we achieving and the impact that we're having? And then also, where are the challenges, the gaps, the needs, the resource needs within our work, and how can we work together to build something stronger and to start filling some of those gaps. And so this map shows so many, it represents so much good work happening in the city. One that I want to highlight because it speaks to, the ways that we often only hear about violence, right? If you're from Baltimore City, if you've heard of Baltimore City, you've probably most likely had it equated or heard about it because of violence, because of the homicide rates. But this map shows, and the ones, on top are showing that people work all over the city, but it's showing that also throughout the city, there are peace builders, there are peacemakers, there are people intervening in the violence. And one of the groups that was present this past weekend actually runs a violence, 6 of the 10 Safe Streets sites in Baltimore City. So Safe Streets is an organization that the mayor of Baltimore has put a lot of effort into propping up in the last 4 years. What they do is they take folks who have formerly been involved in violence and know their neighborhoods, well, and have street credibility, and they go back into those neighborhoods as reformed peacemakers, and they intervene on the spot in violent interactions. But in order to do that, they, survey the streets, they walk the streets day and night, they know people, folks know and trust them. And so one of the groups represented runs 6 of those 10 Safe Streets sites in Baltimore City. And their sites last year in 2024, in the calendar year, had 0 homicides, all 6 of them, which is a huge accomplishment. And not something that, even a lot of people in the room hadn't heard about. And so people felt upset by that, right? They felt upset that they hadn't heard this, the type of news that people want to hear, which is that we're having an impact, and that what we do works, and that what we, that peace is possible, and that we can continue to put more effort into this because it does work. And so that's just one of the stories that came out of this weekend. I'm going to go to the next slide. Oops. Oh, there's always something. So that's covering some of the words. Well, let me go back. So this just says a little bit of what I was just talking about. But it shows, you know, a picture of Rotary folks and folks from Baltimore talking about some of the barriers to collaboration. That's what that chart on the wall says. And we were able to take notes while everyone was talking, and then we were able to put some of them up in real time up on a slideshow, so everyone could see what the other groups were talking about and be able to interact real time with what challenges, what barriers, what opportunities there are to work together. Arthur, I'll pass this on to you now.
Sure. So what comes next? We have a couple different things. One is that this model has got a couple different pieces. So it's all about connecting, right? With Rotarians as our super connector partners. And so the Peace Summits, which we just had our first Peace Summit in Baltimore, is a key part of the model. And then afterwards, we are going to support ongoing professional development. What that means is that in the room, we ask folks, what do you need? Non-monetary resources, especially educational resources, or development or leadership resources. What can we get you that we can have follow-up workshops that will be useful for you and making you more effective in your work? And so we got a bunch of ideas, and we'll go out and find those people who can do that. And based on what their needs are across this network, forming network, we'll provide some free resources in the months coming up. So we'll have 3 or 4 of those follow-up free professional development workshops, giving back to them, supporting them. And that was something that was really felt in the room. They felt that the love that we had, the appreciation we had for the hard work they do every day. And then we're also doing exchange between peacemakers in the cities. Many people never get to leave their city. They're working there. They don't get to travel often. And so we're going to bring peace builders to Chile from Baltimore. It's a small pilot project supported by Rotary, but we'll be able to bring 3 peace builders from Rotary to Santiago, Chile, meeting peace builders there that are dealing with violence, impacted by violence, sharing models, sharing approaches. So where do we go from here, and how can Rotarians support if you feel inspired today? Well, one is we are going to have future peace summits, both in Baltimore and in new partner cities when following this. And so you can get involved in supporting those peace summits. This peace summit was completely made possible by Rotarians like Al and others who supported our work. We have this international exchange program. So finding Rotarians in cities that have great connections with peace builders, so we can bring folks from the US together with those folks, or bring them to the US to meet peace builders, people who've been impacted by violence that are doing good work. Professional development and exchange between peace builders across cities. I mean, we need Rotary and Rotarians for that, right? All those connections. And I've already had people giving lots of great ideas. Supporting a peace building network. So in a way, what happened this weekend is the dream. People, volunteered. They want to keep this network going. They said we don't get enough chance to interact with each other. And some organizations, believe it or not, in a small city like Baltimore, didn't have really a chance to even have direct contact with each other, even though they could be just a number of blocks away from each other. And so there's the theory that we need to break down the silos, but then there's the practice, and that practice was in the room. So we want to support somebody to be a network coordinator, someone who can help facilitate that exchange after we go, and really put that into practice, and set that up to exist after this work is done. And then this professional development, like I talked about, we ask them what they need. We go to find some resources, funds, and individuals who can provide them that support. These folks don't work in organizations that have necessarily professional development funds, even though they're on the street disrupting, getting involved, even when there's shootings, even all these difficult situations. They're not part of big organizations that have professional development funds. And then Rotary is a network of professionals, so we want to connect. That's it, I think.
Excellent, excellent. Well, that's very exciting. And I think one of the highlights for me was when you mentioned that they'd reduced the homicide rate to 0. Can you tell me a little bit more about what was the homicide rate and what was the specific impact that you had there?
So the homicide rate in Baltimore has been over 300 for as long as anyone can remember. And so it usually sits around in the 360s, which for comparison is normally also the homicide rate in Chicago, which is a city 15 times the size of Baltimore City. So just to get you know, a feel for the impact that that would have in a small city. So the Safe Street sites, they're comprised of neighborhoods, like 5 to 10 block radius neighborhoods, and they are the 10 most sites where that need the most focus, so that have had a number of homicides in the past. And so to get 6 of those sites down to 0, I'm not sure what it would have been in each of those neighborhoods specifically, but it's a huge deal, that what it shows is that focusing impact on those neighborhoods works, and having peace builders and peacemakers in those neighborhoods works.
Wow, that is so extraordinary. And, it's so crucial. As you mentioned, we always see if it bleeds, it leads. And we don't get to hear about the powerful ways that we can actually begin to turn around the violence. That reminds me, a little later, we're going to talk about our bully-proofing program that in detention centers reduced the level of violence to 0. So these programs can be so powerful in turning people around and their lives around. I was also extraordinarily impressed to hear that you now have people that have been part of your program who've grown up in it and are now peace builders that are moving forward. Can you tell us about 1 or 2 of possibly the poster kids in the program? Is some of the people that have where this has really touched and moved their lives on an individual basis?
Sure. So, we pride ourselves in being an intergenerational program. And so I think maybe 2 quick stories. One is that we have a senior counselor who works with us now. She teaches dance as well as the preschool class, and she's working on becoming an educator in the city. She started the program when she was 5 years old. She turns 25 this year. So she's been in the program on and off. And her daughter is now also in the program. And so we call her daughter a Peace Camp legacy, but we have a number of kids who grew up in the camp and who now have children that attend the camp. So that's something that we're really proud of. And then another story is that we have a young woman who is studying to be a social worker. She's in college, in her final year of college, and she's working to apply to master's programs. And when she was a young person, she was pretty, tough in the camp, and she got expelled from several schools that she went to. And she really credits Peace Camp and her growing identity as a peacemaker and the skills that she learned at Peace Camp as to why she's been successful now in her young adult life, that she's able to deal with her anger and conflicts in a different way that's been able to lead her into the success that she's now seeing. So.
Oh, wow. So that would be, that's great to hear that you have some people. I don't know if any of them have been able to join us in this, on this Zoom, but
Unfortunately, no one was able to join this evening.
oh, okay. Well, touching lives is what it's all about. And, it's so crucial, the programs you're doing, both on a large scale, as models for reducing violence in the world, but also just in the individual lives that have been touched and moved and changed. It's really, really empowering. I want to, what I'd like to do is to, I do want to open this up for questions, but I think maybe we will go to a few of the other speakers, and then we'll do a little something on the BULLYPROOF program, and then open it up to everybody for your questions and comments. But first of all, I would like to move now to inviting Ozwem Asiri, he's one of the primary outstanding peace ambassadors who's been able to bring people together around the world. He's had, over 85 different countries, and every single top Rotary leader and every single top leader in many other peace building organizations come together and champion building the cause of peace and justice in the world. Osram, can you take it away and share a few comments with us?
Thank you so much, Otto, and also thank everyone for being part of this mega meeting from all around the world. I just have a very few comments or remarks to make concerning today's event, which is actually building bridges for peace. Now, I just want to say it's not about just building bridges for peace or ending conflict. It is about creating connections, understanding, and resilience in the face of adversity, especially in today's world, right? Where division can spread faster than hope. We need to encourage each other. We need to be courageous. We need to have compassion, and we need to have clarity. And that is why we all got to be bulletproof. You see, I so much fall in love with this topic. We all have to be bulletproof for ourselves, our family, our friends, and also for our community. Being bulletproof means stand strong in your values, even when you are challenged. It means not letting fear, intimidation, or negativity steer you away from your mission. Peace builders are not passive. They are powerful away from their mission. We do not fight fire with fire. We rise above it and offer water, wisdom, and way forward. When we are bulletproof, we become safe space for others. We lead by example. We say, you cannot scare me or scare me out. Just be kind. You can't be ashamed of me. You can't shame me out of standing up for what is right. And you definitely can't stop me from building bridges where others can well. So let us choose peace, not as a soft option, but as a bold, intentional act of leadership. And doing so, let us hope that others become bulletproof too. Thank you so much, Otto, and thank you, everyone.
Wow, I love what you said, that we don't fight fire with fire, we rise above it. And, it's not a soft option, it's the powerful option. The soft option, the one that just doesn't work, is war and violence. It's incredible to see whole nations trying to bully others into intimidation, and they'll spend 20 years bombing and raining fire on another country. And the biggest empires in the world have tried to defeat little countries, and all they do is push them more into the hands of the rabid, extremists, and all they do is destroy, and they never achieve their objective. It's really the weak force. Military, there's no such thing as military force. It's an oxymoron. It's a weak force. It might temporarily make a gain for momentarily, but it actually sets you back in the long run. So with that terrific introduction from Oswem, I'm going to share my screen and tell you a little bit about our BULLYPROOF program, which I hope can become an integral part of the work we're working on with the Carter School and with the model program, and help build this into a model that we can take out to the world. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. BULLYPROOF is basically a 10-step conflict resolution program built around 10 animal totems that help teach the powerful lessons in bullyproofing. It's a program that's built around an acronym, and if you look at here close, you'll see that I'm going to go through what the 10 steps are. But first, let me tell you that I'll run through the steps and then I'll tell you a little more about it. Okay, so first of all, the 10 characters are Bust Out Bear, who says to break away from the current fray. When temper is cool, then make your play. Why try to ram right through the middle when an end run can solve your riddle? So figure out another way. It's like you said, don't fight fire with fire. Step aside and find another way. And Understanding Unicorn says, understanding is the magic that clears up hurts and prevents things tragic. If we can just understand what is it that's triggering our hot buttons, what's triggering the other person, this can give us a a powerful tool. Now, these 10 characters are spelling out the word bullyproof, and my partner and I read over 50 books on conflict resolution and summarized them all into these 10 steps represented by these 10 characters. The next one is listening links. Listen with your heart as well as your ears. Behind the loud anger, hear the doubts and the fears. When little things don't get heard, they build and build till it gets absurd. Well, if we listen so often in conflicts, when somebody's angry and mad and yelling at us, what do they really want? They want to be heard. And if you just sit there and say, well, I hear you saying that you are really troubled when I do this, and am I catching that right? Is that what you're trying to say? No, well, I'm saying, oh, okay. So then let me say, I think you're saying, okay, yeah, now I get it. When they feel heard, whew, that relieves so much of that tension and anger. And then BULL, we have bully-proof for this loving lion. And loving lion says, love the doer of not the deed. Look for the good, the inner seed. All are born with a seed of genius, a buried core that's free of meanness. Well, when you are encountering somebody who's having bullying behavior, if you say, why, you no good SOB, I can't stand what you're doing, what are they going to do? They're going to fight back. They're going to fight fire with fire. But if you say, um, if you can actually look for the good in that person, if you can say, I know you're better than this. I think you've got terrific capabilities in you. You can do much better than this. And speak to the good in that person. Don't speak to the lowest common denominator. Don't speak to their worst. Speak to their best. And when you're speaking to their best will arise to meet what you're saying. So there's loving lion, and then continuing down the list of the 10 animal totems, we come from loving lion to yin yang yak. And so yin yang yak says, opportunity springs from crisis. Opposites, they energize us. We have a rap and roll song where, all of us have male and female sides that we need to bring into balance. We have opportunities in crisis. We have, at the same time that things are bad, there's a lot of good that comes out of it. Understanding that yin and that yang, how the negative and positive ties in, gives us a powerful tool for bully proofing. And then moving on to the other characters, so we have, that's bully, that spells out bully. Now, what spells out proof? Well, proof is picturing porpoise. Picturing porpoise says, picture the outcome you'd like to see. Empower the bully in a new way to be. All kinds of self-help programs teach us that if we can visualize what we want, if we can picture what we want, we're so much more likely to get there than if we picture doom and gloom and everything's going to go bad. Well, we need to do that as a world too. Whenever I find myself in a conflict, the first thing I do is picture that positive outcome I'd like to see. I actually had 2 conflicts earlier this morning that seemed insurmountable, and I meditated, I pictured the vision of what I wanted, and both of them dissipated and were solved. It was incredible. There's a real magic to picturing what you'd like to see in the world. So that's picturing porpoise, and then respectful raven. Respectful raven says, respect the bully yourself and Mother Earth. In each of these, you'll find great worth. Well, so often respect is such a key part of it. When we were doing our program at the Sweeney Elementary School in Santa Fe, New Mexico, when you walked into the school, there was a big board with respectful raven and feathers, and kids would stick, when they caught somebody caring, they have a Catch You Caring program, and people had feathers, and they'd write the name of the person they caught caring, somebody they wanted to give respect to, and they'd add them to the raven. And this raven was overflowing with feathers being stuck in all the different kids, not rewarding themselves, but rewarding other kids who they found being respectful. And boy, they'd walk into the school and that feeling of respect, there's my name, I'm a good, respectful person. So respect has so much power. And then we come down from respectful raven to originating. Actually, we changed that to originating orangutan in the new program, because orangutans are much more originating than otters. So originating orangutan says, originate a win-win way. Don't make a loser or we'll all pay. By the way, this website is very outdated, and I'm hoping working with the Carter School we can update it and bring it into the modern era and really make this even more vital. But right now, since we ran out of funding, we weren't able to continue the one in Santa Fe, and but we're hoping now that the world so needs it, especially when we see even heads of state bullying, when we need this program so much. So let's move on to Overseeing Owl. Overseeing Owl says, oversee the chaotic fray from a higher vision, a wiser way. You know, so often when we're down here on the ground, it seems like there's just no way out of the conflict. We can't deal with it. But when we rise our vision to a higher sight, when we look down on the conflict from, you know, going into that higher space and looking down, suddenly we find solutions that never seemed possible when we were down here in the fray. When we rise above the fray to that higher vision, boy, do we get some empowering opportunities. And then coming on to the final character, Fearless Fox. Fearless Fox says, fearless, strong, and way above board. The true hero stands tall, without weapon or sword. We know that fear attracts attack. Now our bully-proof shield can turn it back. So these 10 characters are a bully-proof shield that can help us dissipate violence, fight fire with something much more powerful than fire, with an incredible, much greater force. Now, let me show you, because the George Mason University School of Conflict Resolution, before it was even called the Jimmy Carter, Rosalind Jimmy Carter School, the very first PhD graduate, today we have PhD graduate from the George Mason University, the very first PhD graduate in conflict resolution was Diane Laresh, first PhD in conflict resolution at George Mason. And she said, whenever I got mad, all my years of conflict resolution training went right out the window. I couldn't think of a thing. I'm mad, and I had all these years of conflict resolution. How do I anchor it? So then she said, okay, let me use this acronym to anchor it. And because it's an acronym, it's easy to remember. Okay, B, how can I bust out of this and come at it a different way? Or U, okay, can I understand what is it why is this making me so mad? Why am I triggering the other person's hot buttons? And then try to understand it. And then listening. Okay, that's right. I shouldn't just answer back what this person just said. I should listen. So instead of yelling back, I'm going to say, okay, so let me try to understand what you're saying. And she used the listening links. She always was trained in that, but the acronym gave her a way to do it. And then loving line. Okay, how can I speak to the good in this person? And how can I see the opportunity in this crisis? And she said, by the time I got through the 10 characters, all my, it all came back to me. I was able to dissipate the conflicts. It became such a powerful tool for me to use in employing my training in conflict resolution. So I'm hoping that this can be a tool for you as well. Now, by the way, I mentioned that the animation, everything is a bit dated, but let me just play you a little quick.
I'm Bust Out Bear, and I whiz into danger to bust folks out of the fighting trap. Instead of cracking heads, I crack 'em up. You know what I mean? And then there's other whizzers, like Understanding Unicorn, who uses her magical horn to show folks other times and places, to clear up misunderstandings and reveal the truth. And Listening Lynx, a cool cat who knows there's more power in listening than lashing out. Oh, and Loving Lion, who can find something good in everyone. And Yin Yang Yak, an Aikido master who takes aggressive energy as a gift and turns it around.
Now, let me show you, in addition to, there's a K-12 program and a teen program. If you click on the K-12, you see a powerful puppet show that the younger kids are able to do the bully-proofing in. So let me play that briefly here.
Bully-proof? What's that?
Come on, gang, let's spell it out.
B is for bust out, U for understand. L is for listen and love throughout the land. Y is for yin yang, balance if you can. Come on, everybody, let's take a mighty stand.
And the
elementary school students are learning to channel their violence. Fifth graders at Sweeney Elementary School rehearsed a puppet show today, a play in which characters teach kids that violence isn't the answer. Each of the characters represents a bully-proof shield, like respectful Raven. One puppeteer says he applied the theory to a conflict earlier this week.
We used understanding unicorn, originating otter, listening lynx, and I think that it did me pretty good.
I have been getting in trouble a lot at school for my temper, and as a matter of fact, the reason I'm not at school is because I was suspended, and maybe like if I show them respect, they'll have respect for me.
Kids don't really like just listening to a boring old story. They like getting something exciting out of it.
And that's what this does?
Yes, it teaches them a good lesson.
They call me Bust Out Bear because I encourage people to bust out from that old fighting trap. Sure, you wanted to get back at that bully. That's probably the first thing you think of. You'd like to whop him upside the head with your paw. Oh, you don't have a paw.
Our traveling puppet show gets kids to really open up and talk about their conflicts with Bust Out Bear and the other bully-proof characters.
Hey, don't throw them off. A fist over curve. Do something that they don't expect. Shake up their world a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Sometime or other when we were kids, most of us needed a guardian angel to deal with some bigger kid who was picking on us.
We dealt with it as best we could, but how do you help your children deal with the neighborhood bully? Diane Anderson shows us a program designed to bully-proof your little ones in our New Mexico Children First report.
It looks like an art class. A chance for sticky fingers to create papier-mâché masterpieces. But this class is also molding young minds. These fifth graders at Sweeney Elementary in Santa Fe are making puppets for the bully-proof program.
Just put a few more layers here.
Lumpy balls of paper and glue will become animal characters with clever names and powerful messages. The 10 animal puppets, from brave bust-out bear to fearless fox, spell out the bully-proof acronym and give kids an easy way to remember how to handle conflict. Pediatrician Deborah Hall is volunteering for bully-proof because she sees a lot of hurt children, both physically and emotionally.
I came to believe that trying to prevent those kinds of things from happening, prevent hurt from happening to children, was equally important or more important than actually treating the hurts after they happen.
I think a lot of these kids, not just kids at Sweeney, but kids in general, grow up in an environment, neighborhood and home, where bullying is the norm. The interaction and the discussion and the knowledge that comes with the program has gotten many of them to think about their behavior, and now they're even actually able to verbalize and say things like, I used to really bully kids a lot, but now I know that it's not a good thing and how it makes people feel, and so I don't do it anymore. I think without that program, the intensity of that program, I don't think a lot of that would have happened.
This is an honor. Hey, can you guys tell me? Remember what happened at the end of last session? These guys came a long way. You want to tell us? Has everything always been like real easy when you put this?
Yeah. No, not really.
Not really.
You like that? And I don't like that. Is that a camera? You want to find out? Yeah, too bad you're gonna have to live with this one.
Josh, if you find out the camera.
And then I want you to take no one.
We'll talk about it.
Okay, where would you like to start?
In the back.
Okay, Josh, take a look now. Where do you think it should go? Where do you think it should go? So what if it went under? What if it went under there? Could we get that under there? This over here. This. How about that? Does that work? Well, one of the coolest things about this puppet, besides the way that it actually looks, is because this is Originating Otter, they actually had to do what Originating Otter says. They had to come up with a new idea. They had to take their original ideas and work it all together to come up with a new idea. So let's make Otter come alive. All right?
Let me get out of full screen on that. And then I'll have one more thing I'm going to share with you, and then we'll turn it over to questions and then hearing from Marie and then Al. But first, let me go to the teen program, where you'll see a very different thing, where we have a rap and roll opera that is empowering for teens.
BULLYPROOF is based on a 10-step conflict resolution program and is taught to teenagers through an unusual and creative rap and roll opera.
The play is a good way to learn the message of nonviolence. Once you do something positive, you feel positive. We need the tools to handle conflicts in more powerful ways than violence. And now we are learning these life skills through a new arts program called
What's up, Papa? What you wanna join my gang? Or the older gang, huh? Where are all your buddies? Are they all chicks?
I thought gangs were the way that you could get attention and feel needed and get love and stuff like that, but you don't need to be involved in gangs. You can go to productions like this one and you get to know the people and you feel needed and you feel the love like a family and stuff, and it's positive this way.
Rehearsing BULLYPROOF taught us commitment, focus, discipline, and respect.
How many of you have ever seen somebody get shot? If you find yourself breaking character, then you need to do your actor's work, which means you have to connect to a violent moment in your own life. And believe me, I know this is not easy work, because when those things have happened to us, and I've been there, you don't want to think about those things. You don't want to go back there and connect to it. But it's your work to do it, so do it. Thank you. Let's go on. Okay, lights. Where do you go? Good. Excellent.
Before BULLYPROOF, I had gotten into trouble with the law. I was doing hurtful things like telling my mom I hate you, which I didn't mean. Now I do what Bust Out Bear taught me, to just chill out or cool off, so I don't say things I'll regret later. People don't believe it when I tell them that I'm getting A's and B's now. If it wasn't for BULLYPROOF, I don't know where I'd be. Maybe like my character in the play, Juan, I'd be dead or in jail. I really want the kids who come to watch this play to have the opportunity to start turning their lives around. I had a lot of anger and hate towards people that had never done nothing wrong. I had a lot of anger towards my mother, and I can't explain it, I did. And come BULLYPROOF, I started to think, why do I have this anger for her? Why do I have these problems with the law? Why do I have problems staying out of trouble? And I realized I don't need to have these problems. There's a better way. My character was Bust Out Bear, and he stood to be brave and bust out from that fighting trap. That means you don't want to have to fight all the time. There's a different way to do it. You just got to be brave and do it.
All right, so there's a little introduction to BULLYPROOF. Now what I'm going to do, we have more powerful speakers coming up with Mary and Al, but let me first turn this open now to questions, especially for the Baltimore Violence Prevention Team, but for me about BULLYPROOF as well. We're going to take some questions, just a few now, and then we'll turn it over. So, okay, so Barbara, go ahead, Barbara. You have a question.
I wanted to ask our first guest, Arthur. No, I wanted to ask Nawal, when you talked about how the recidivism rate just dropped when you had the safe cities and you tracked those 6 streets, and what a great impact it was. I wanted to know how you did that. What, I don't mean it's a year's worth of conversation, but in essence, What would you say the essence of that was? Because we could all use that essence right now.
Yeah, I think if I understood your question correctly, so this weekend we met the person who runs those sites, but we didn't track that data. The city actually tracks the data. So the mayor's office of neighborhood safety and engagement tracks that data because they help to fund this program, and they've put a lot of, they've put a lot of effort into getting this program funded the way that it needs to be. So I'm not sure exactly, but they track, from year to year to year, homicides in certain neighborhoods, and then decide which neighborhoods need this program specifically, and then track to keep data on if it's working or not.
So we should go find Safe Streets Project in Baltimore.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Maryland's in the news, and most of it is really good the past few years, and from the governor down. So congratulations.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
And just to clarify, what we're doing is taking groups, and Nawal was giving that group as one example of the 17 organizations that were in the room. What we're doing is this work that's not getting done, which is getting those folks, giving a chance for those folks to come together. So you might have in a 5-block range, you might go from a place that has a couple programs running to no programs, go 5 more blocks up, and then there's a couple other programs. So we don't have an integrated approach. Oftentimes, the mayor of Baltimore has been working on that. It's definitely in terms of city agencies, but even we heard from these groups. So we think that this is kind of the secret sauce, if you will, or let's just say at least a gap. When people fund these peace projects, they don't do much to support the cross-pollination work. And so the reason we know that's an important issue is because the folks in the room reinforced it and wanted to do some organizing around it themselves without us even asking them, right? And there were folks in this small city who have been doing this work for decades who vaguely heard about each other's work, but have not been in the same room together, let alone to have it facilitated well, with folks who are supporting them and having pre-work and, now giving them a booklet afterwards so they can see about each other's work and all those kinds of things. And so we're just not doing that. Imagine like a large organization or something like UPS that doesn't have jobs where you connect departments within it. The way we fund and do peace building, oftentimes I call it coins from the veranda approach. We just kind of throw out to good organizations, no requirement for them to spatially coordinate, no requirement for them to collaborate, each one individually doing something good. So we've identified this. The superpower of Rotary is to connect. We as university folks in the university are good at convening. And so let's bring those two together to weave the fabric. We don't have to be the ones to do it all. We'll find the folks who are doing good things and create the platform for them to talk to each other. And based on the needs that they identify, go and get those and support those needs, not create a new program.
Wow. Okay. I love that. Connecting the world, connecting people. That's so crucial. So many separated programs in their silos. And one of the key things that Rotary has is that powerful reach beyond borders where we all are approaching it around the world and connecting people. And that's, of course, one of the primary objectives of the program that that we have right here in with OSWAM, with the mega meetings, is connecting people. And he does have also, when you click on the link, you'll see a WhatsApp group where people are sharing and connecting. I'm going to call on Quanta, Dawn Light, who has a question for us. Go ahead, Quanta.
Thank you very much. I was wondering if in your program, are you including potential people, the students that are bullying and also potential victims together? Or do you have most of the people that may become victims of the bullying come to your classes that are already peace-oriented personally?
Well, in the bully proofing program, we have a particular part of it when you go to the website that says bully proofing for bullies, and bullies. It's a key thing. There's a wonderful new movie coming out from our friend John Viscount, who created a program, The Principle, about a person who has been cyberbullied, who commits suicide, but is in that place between life and death, and then connects with the bully, and they somehow resolve it and are able to come back. You know, sometimes people die and then come back. They come back and become friends and learn how to break through. I see that there's a question from Dennis. Dennis, can you go ahead and give us your question?
First of all, thank you, Arthur, and thank you, everybody. I'm just interested, we're talking about bullies, and we have a bully in the White House right now. And I just wondered how the Carter School, ELP, and others are dealing with this bully, which is affecting, universities and funding and everything else. And so just, we've seen Harvard University, Columbia, and others. And also it goes against a lot of the policies, goes against what we are for as far as diversity, equity, inclusion, and other things. So I just wondered from a Carter School point of view, what's happening in their view, and how any advice on how Rotary should get involved in policy making.
I can respond from a faculty perspective, not for we're not speaking on behalf of the Carter School. And so what I would say is that I view my role, I view education and higher education as playing a really important role in sustaining democracy. And so, it's academic freedom is a really important institution. It's a democratic supporting institution. And that is to say, it's meant to support professors in being able to convey the findings of their research in the most accurate way that they see based on their research. And so, of course, you may find times where your research is popular, and in a couple months or a couple years or a decade later, it's not, right? And so what we've seen in authoritarian contexts around the world is that academic freedom and authoritarianism can't exist simultaneously. Try to find an authoritarian society that has a robust liberal arts college system. So for me, whether it's a time in which politically people are supportive of that research and interested and excited, or it's a time in which that research is unpopular and maybe targeted, I feel the same sense of responsibility to convey as accurately as I can what I see as my analysis through my research of the dynamics of conflict that I study. Mm-hmm. And so for me, that is what's at stake, and that's a matter of principle. And I would feel that same way for colleagues who I disagree with, and have spoken up for that. So I remain committed to doing that, whether it's a time in which, like I said, in which a time in which it's well received, or it's a time in which folks say, they politically disagree, that are in charge, and ask for that to be, if anybody asks for that to be changed, I stand by the quality of that work, and I welcome the public debate about it. That's my job. That's a big part of my job.
Yeah. Wow, great answer. I want to jump in on Dennis's question. It's so powerful, and I think the answer really lies in our introduction that we had, the wonderful introduction from Stephanie, who mentioned that the four-way test is the key for dealing with bullying. And what I'd like to share is, I put in chat GBT, if you can see my screen. I put in bullying and the four-way test. And the Rotary four-way test, it says, is it the truth? Bullying is not truthful. It often involves lies, rumor, or manipulation meant to harm or control others. Is it fair to all concerned? Absolutely not. Bullying is inherently unfair. It targets someone and puts them at a disadvantage socially, emotionally, or physical. Will it build goodwill and friendship? Will it build goodwill and friendship? Not at all. Bullying breaks down relationships, causes fear, builds resentment rather than goodwill. It creates a toxic environment in schools, workplaces, and communities, and in the world. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Nope. No one truly benefits from bullying. The victim suffers, the bully damages their own character and future relationships, and bystanders are affected too. So the four-way test is really key to dealing with this. And with that, I would like to invite Mary to share her slides and her presentation, because really she has been key in helping to bring about this Carter Rotary collaboration. She inherently in the four-way test and in the Rotary in the whole Rotary program are some of the key solutions at both in our families, ways to prevent bullying in our families, in our cities, and in our communities and in our world. So, Mary, do you want to go ahead and share your slides and your presentation, since you've been a key part of creating this Rotary Carter School collaboration, and your husband played a really key role. So please do tell us about that. Well, meanwhile, while she's doing that, let me just say a little bit about Mary. She's an extraordinary person. We're so thrilled to have her on here. She's an economic anthropologist, and she's a member of Washington Rotary Global. I'll tell you what, it sounds like you might need a little bit more time, so let me just say a couple more things about you while you're getting ready to do the presentation. First, let me just mention that let me go through here a little bit about.
Well, actually, before you do that, Arthur, I wanted to respond to Dennis's question more broadly, because to me, especially after attending the peace conference in Istanbul, I feel very strongly as a Rotarian that Rotary and other civil society organizations have an absolutely vital role to play now. And we really do need to do what Stephanie is saying and step forward and pay a great deal of attention and take action in the peace arena. And I'm ready, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead now. Thank you.
I'm just running out. Okay, well, it's a real honor to be here. Arthur asked me to share some of the history of the creation of the Rotary Carter collaboration, which started with my late husband, David Fishman, which some of you who have zoomed in knew very well. And you will know that he was indeed a passionate champion of peace. He was a member of the Rotary Action Group for Peace, a member of two intercountry committees. He participated in peace symposia, in extensive dialogue, and he received the awards that you see there from both the Alexandria and the DC clubs. One thing that inspired him was the trip that we took with Sharon Tennyson. She was very dedicated to cooling down the Cold War impact, with the notion that the atmosphere of mutual hostility was very detrimental to the security interests of the U.S. and Russia. And what she did was organize for Rotarians from the U.S. to help business people in Russia learn how to operate in market economy. And we were visiting those very successful business people. That experience gave him a really strong sense of the power of Rotary. Then he attended the Houston Rotary Convention, and Larry Cooley talked about scaling up, the idea of having a greater impact and reaching more people with a successful approach. And the president, Gordon McEnany, talked about peace is in Rotary's DNA. David had been working in communication with the Carter School and was very impressed with the action orientation of Carter. They don't just teach about or theorize about peace, they go out in the world and do peace building and conflict resolution. And he felt that the incredible social the social network of Rotary combined with a very powerful knowledge base and experiential base of the Carter School would be a way to enable Rotary to do the same thing with peace as they've done with polio eradication. And so his notion was that the Carter School would be rather a think tank and a technical support for Rotarians. And Rotarians and the Carter School would engage in joint projects. And there would be joint fundraising, and there would be technical support for Rotarians in localities and regions for conflict resolution initiatives. We had an initial meeting at the Point of View, thanks to Al Jubat's generosity, and David and I agreed to donate $250,000 to support a study of what would be the best way to do a collaboration, and also to lay the groundwork for the kind of faculty and Rotarian support network needed to make this happen. And in 2024, a memorandum of understanding was signed between the Carter School and Rotary International, and that memorandum of understanding states that the aim is to increase the breadth and the impact of Rotary initiatives by leveraging the Jimmy and Rosalind Carter School of Peace and Conflict Resolution's expertise in peace and conflict resolution with Rotary's international extensive network of more than 1.4 million volunteers, global leaders, and community leaders. So this was a really important step, and that led I also wanted to point out that in this January, the Carter School was named by the United Nations as a hub for peace and conflict, a hub for the academic knowledge base for SDG 16, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions, which is a great honor for the school. You've heard about the wonderful project that Nawal and Arthur are doing in Baltimore. I wanted to share with you some of the other projects. These are pilot projects that were identified by a steering committee, which reviewed very carefully to make sure that the projects were indeed Rotarian driven and projects where the Carter School could make a difference to help scale up or strengthen an already good idea. In Colombo, Sri Lanka, the Rotary Club of Colombo has developed a peace education program that's called Little Minds and Strong Values. It's jointly with the Ministry of Education, and they have a video with animated songs in the two languages, Sinhala and Tamil. You'll probably recall that there was a lot of violence a number of years ago in northern Sri Lanka. This teaches values such as respect for all religions and races, honoring parents and elders, kindness, honesty, and integrity. And every year they have a national championship in which students from all the schools involved, and this was 4,000 students last year, compete in doing songs, speeches, music, and dance, showing how they've learned the messages of this training in peace and conflict resolution. And what the Carter School is going to do, sorry about that. The Carter School is helping them evaluate this competition to strengthen, improve, find anything that needs to be polished up so that this program can be expanded to all 10,000 schools in Sri Lanka. Also very exciting is the Cyprus Peacebuilding Initiative. The initiative builds on long-standing relationships between Cypriot, Greek Cypriot and Turkish Cypriot Rotarians who have been working very hard along with civil society to achieve a final peace agreement after 50 years since the conflict arose. And they came out of this meeting very much heartened that maybe now is the time, now is the window, something can be done. And they developed a lot of plans for working with grassroots people. And in Istanbul, at the Presidential Peace Conference, they gave a presentation on the work that they're doing, which was extremely well received, including by the head of the Rotary Foundation Board of Trustees, who mentioned it in his final remarks at the end of the conference. Arthur had asked me to mention briefly about the Presidential Peace Conference. For those of you who did not attend, the key issues addressed were peace building in a polarized world, technology and media and peace building, environmental, and that includes the pros and the cons of AI and other technology, environmental issues in peace building, and then how do we make peace last? I'll move towards ending with the forthcoming Rotary president has announced his message, which is Unite for Good. And I would say from our perspective as peace builders, we need to focus that in and unite for peace. So I thank you very much for your attention, and I would encourage the Rotarians among us to share their thoughts about the Rotary Carter collaboration and how they might want to engage, especially in this wonderful project right in our backyard, and how that project might apply in their backyards for those of you who are coming from other parts of the world.
Wow, thank you, Mary. That's extraordinary. I really, really appreciate your presentation, and wow, what great work you are doing in this tying together Rotarians. It's fabulous. I would like to now turn to Al Jubitz. You mentioned Al Jubitz, and Al Jubitz is our champion. He's not only the founder of this Carter Rotary collaboration, but also he has been key in getting our movie, The World is My Country, which on Thursday, we'll be having a program about The World is My Country and a chance to actually watch the version that played with a Rotary spot opening it on PBS stations, public broadcasting stations across the U.S. He was actually one of the key sponsors of that. He's been a key sponsor of our work and of the Rotary and co-founding the Rotary Action Group for Peace. So let's welcome the extraordinary Al Jubitz. Please go ahead, Al, and we'd love to hear your comments.
Thank you, Arthur, and thank you for organizing this in conjunction with the Carter School. Many of us are Rotarians, and as such, we are extremely privileged to believe in the four-way test and to be part of the history of peace building within the world led by Rotarians. I like to, when people ask me about Rotary, I like to say, well, what's our value add? We Rotarians are very good at leadership. We've led our organizations, we are engaged in civic discourse, and we tend to walk toward injustice and opportunity. But we're quite good at early funding, such as polio. We've contributed collectively over $1 billion out of, I think, 10 billion total. And so we're good at early funding, and we're very, very good at longevity. We stick with it until we see success. And I think we need to, excuse me just a second, I think we need to, I should ignore it. We need to remember that whether it's polio now 40 years, or peace, which could be a lifetime or two, that we stick to it because it's the right thing to do. And so I encourage you all to, when you look in the mirror next time, to be proud of your Rotary affiliation, help Rotary realize its potential by activating yourself. This is the key. We collectively have a lot of power. And when we do it under the banner of Rotary and other great brands like Carter, it is even more powerful. It motivates other people. Now, I think Dennis summed it up, but Dennis is my compatriot. He's the guy that called me and it resulted in the Rotary Action Group for Peace. It was Dennis. So he's thinking ahead over the horizon and around the corner. But he also said tonight that be engaged. Others have said be bold, stand tall. We are on the right side of history, and remember that violence is the enemy, not the other person. It's violence. And when we gain our stature and our understanding that violence is the problem, then we can be humble and learn to listen to others, apply the bully-proof messaging that we saw tonight. And remember, we're learning from each other. I mean, I am blown away. One of the most significant learnings I've had in the past year is taking the peace game. Please write this down, the peace game. Another gentleman not on this call invented this. He has a storied history of global social movements. It's called the peace game. I thought I was spending enough time and focus on peace a year ago. I took the peace game and realized I could do more. So whatever your passion is, whatever part of peace, whether it's local or international or anything in between, please follow your gut. Follow your gut and do what you feel like doing. It's very, very important that you're authentic. Others will notice the authenticity and the results will blow you away. You'll just be amazed at the contribution you made to humanity and the legacy you leave as a life in your life. So I encourage you to take the peace game. It will be featured in Calgary at the Peace Park. We're planning it. You can play a mini version of it during Calgary. If you're going there, there's a 5-day version, and the main version is takes a day times 9 weeks, 2 hours a day times 9 weeks. But anyway, there is a lot we can learn from each other. Collectively, we are a very strong peace movement. Thank you for being on this call. I thank all the peace builders that we heard from tonight. It's so amazing. I think with children, when I saw some of those videos of the kids working, I think Arthur might have been your son as a teacher or an observer in that classroom. But when the kids put their cell phones down and start building something and start acting it out, it's a powerful message of what we have tolerated in our digital world, and what we need to get back to is face-to-face teamwork. So thanks for the opportunity to say a few words, Arthur. Thank you for this mega meeting. Thank you, all of you, Rotarian or not, for being on this call. And I wish you all well.
Wow. Thank you, Al, from the bottom of my heart. That was so beautiful and such a fantastic statement and such a powerful support you're doing. And I want to really appreciate and magnify your hats off to Dennis. He's also co-founder of my Rotary Club, which is the Rotary E-Club of World Peace in District 5330. If you go to Rotary E-Club of World Peace .org on the website, you will see our amazing weekly speakers, and everybody's welcome to come to that every Tuesday evening at 6:30 Pacific time. And I also want to invite everyone to come this week. And this week we're skipping our Wednesday meeting, but every Wednesday normally we have a podcast, and many of them are these mega meetings, and they're Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. This week we're skipping it because we're doing the Tuesday and Thursday event. Definitely come back on Thursday to the wonderful event. Oh, and Melanie just put the link for the Rotary E-Club of World Peace in the chat. Definitely come back for this event, continuing this program this Thursday. This Thursday at 12 noon Eastern is going to be a program on The World is My Country. And that's the movie we created. That's what you see in the background, theworldismycountry.com. And that's what Rotary is all about. We're not stuck inside these broken borders, these lines we've drawn on this planet. We operate globally. Rotary is a global organization. And once we realize that we are citizens of this one world. Once we make that click in our thinking from being aligned, that we're just only of a separate country facing off all these others. Once we make that click, we have incredible empowerment to make change in the world. It gives us the power to really solve the problems that seem insurmountable down here in our separate boxes. It's like what we said with rise above the current fray. When we rise above the nations and we see our planet as that beautiful blue marble, that beautiful whole, we have incredible power, and the seeming dysfunctions that seem so insurmountable become eminently solvable. So I do hope all of you will come then. What I want to do, we're going to end the official meeting because the time has run out from at the Carter School, but we're going to stay on. Anybody who wants to ask questions, I see Nawal is still here. We're welcome to have questions and to carry on. If you have to leave, the official meeting is over, but stick around. We'd love to hear your questions. Just raise your hand and I'll call on you if you have questions, comments. I see we have many Rotary district governors. We have very well-placed people who are doing important peace work in the world, and we would love to hear from you. Anybody want to raise their hand for a question, comment, thought, inspiration? And is Dean Alp still here? If Dean Alp is still here, I'd love to have a closing remark from him. But if he's not, let's just proceed with seeing if anybody else wants to raise their hand, if anyone has further questions or comments. I see Sala. Oh, Al wants to jump in.
Yeah,
Al, jump in.
You know how you kind of do your talk and then you wonder if you said what you wanted to say, and then you start doubting yourself and said, did I? I tip my hat to my old friend Dennis, who is easy for me to remember. But Mary Clark and David Fishman were visionaries and brought this relationship together. And I want to tip my hat to Mary for continuing David's work, for working with the Carter School to help them understand Rotary and vice versa. And I just loved your presentation, Mary. Thank you so much for getting me involved. I mean, see, Dennis got me involved in one thing and you got me involved in another. So, so I'm a good second lieutenant.
Yeah. Can I just add to that? I didn't stress how challenging it was for David to convince people this was a good idea. It wasn't just a matter of Rotary saying, oh, this is wonderful, we love this, and the dean saying, oh, great, I'll do it. He had to do a great deal of convincing and work very hard with local Rotarians in the DC area to build up the support to actually, and he talked with Dennis, he talked with people in the Rotary Action Group for Peace. He talked with many, many people to build up the kind of support for something to actually come together and happen. But Al also contributed significantly, enabling us to have that great workshop.
Thank you. Yes, that's definitely wonderful comment. Appreciate that. So let me invite Sala Sweet to say a few words. She's also in the Rotary E-Club of World Peace. Go ahead.
Right. I was just wondering, when you talk about the programs that you put together, they're focused on young people, but do you interact with the community as well? The parents or the teachers or whatever? Are you interacting with the people who will keep this going?
Nawal, do you want to jump in on that and give us some comments about your interaction with the community and with other people?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we definitely engage with the parents. We have several parent engagement nights every summer. Our program is completely free of charge, so we ask the parents to participate in our engagement nights. And as far as the community, because we're only a summer program, we try and build a model where we integrate other community partners that do run year-round programming. So that way our young people are hopefully staying with them. So maybe they're continuing to take, a dance class from a community partner, or continuing another program that one of our partners runs. So that's one of the ways that we try and get a more holistic community approach to the program. But yeah, it's always something we're working on. So I appreciate the question. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that if anyone has a wonderful program, just send me an email, because I have posted this program to nearly 200,000 people. Wow. Email, social media, And I've been attending all the webinars since yesterday, and this was the most attended one. I'm not saying that I did it, but please share with your friends when you hear something really good. I am retired, I have the time, and I enjoy connecting people and promoting good programs. Thank you. And I do it free.
Yay for Quanta. We're so pleased, Quanta. Okay, so first I want to recognize Lena, who's a peace activator. Tell us what's a peace activator, and tell us a little bit more of your question or comment.
Thank you so much, Arthur. So I'm Lena Suki Schmidt. I'm the IPP of the Rotary E-Club of Innovation, which is based out of the UK. But I live in Australia and I'm a Lebanese Canadian. So there you go. That's Rotary for you. I just actually graduated with a bunch of people, including Christina, who shows up in Marie Clark's photo of the Cypriot Turkish team that did the project on peace. And Christina and I graduated both from in Istanbul from the Positive Peace Activator program. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the Positive Peace Activator program in Rotary. We're not all Rotarians. Christina and I happen to be Rotarians, but not everybody is a Rotarian. And it's a resource that everybody can use because there's a list of peace activators around the world. There's over 300 of us around the world that can talk about positive peace. And the positive peace, I don't know if people know the concept. Do people know the concept? Raise your hands. Arthur will tell me if there have been hands raised. That's great.
Go ahead and explain it briefly, but yes, we've definitely heard of that, many of us, but others haven't, so go ahead.
All right, so I'll just very briefly say that it's a partnership with the Institute of Economics and Peace that started in Sydney, Australia. And basically what they did was, it's an institute that went around and looked at the peaceful countries of the world, and then they tried to map what is in common between those peaceful countries. And they came up with a model, which is called the 8 Pillars of Peace. That is a tool that everybody can use to create projects or to deal with business or to do anything. It's kind of like our 4-way test. So the difference between positive peace and negative peace is the unsustainable type of peace. For example, ceasefires, or we'll just make people make up and it's fine and whatever, but they're not dealing with the actual cause of the violence that's occurring in the community, whether it's war or it's bullying or anything. So positive peace is a sustainable kind of a model where we are dealing with capacity building, and that's exactly what you guys are doing. So congratulations, and it's amazing. And if you need, the peace activators can be one of your toolkits, one of the resources that you can use. So I hope you'll look it up and read about it. And any of us are ready to come and speak about it. We're worldwide, and it doesn't matter which jurisdiction we're in.
Thank you so much, Lena. Now, Neeraj had his hand up, and then Dennis. Neeraj, do you want to go ahead with a comment? I see the peace poll behind you.
Yes, hi, I'm Neeraj from New Delhi, India. And recently we've been working with Sam in India. We've almost done about 35 peace polls. See, we recently worked with Sam in India for the Peace March, and we sponsored about 25 peace polls. And I'm going to Nebraska on Monday to have installed about 10 of peace polls in Nebraska. And what I feel, I've got recently involved with the peace building and peace initiative for the last couple of months, maybe, and it's been so exciting and inspiring for me that what we feel is peace has to be not only with the conflicts or with the truces and ceasefires. We need to have peace coming in the human beings, actually, from in the heart of everybody, because peace is something, and the 7 focus areas of Rotary. Peace can be, a sort of a cap for all the 7 focus areas. It connects very well with the environment, with diseases, with everybody. So maybe if we can link up peace building with all the 7 focus areas. That is my biggest, which I have been trying to, work on this sort of thing. Maybe I'll come out and maybe present to all of you something like this in the future. And maybe, we can make a small mini peace bowl, which we can have an exchange with the children. So suppose when the children go to, for the night out or a night stay for somebody's house, they could be given a small peace bowl, not more than 3 inches, and exchange the peace bowl with the names on top of that.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And the peace polls are a wonderful reminder to get people to think about and focus on peace.